Before we begin, I would like to inform everyone that whether you believe it or not, you are going to become a superhero. Every single one of us in this room has the potential to complete this metamorphosis. And no, you're not going to get bitten by a radioactive spider like Peter Parker, although I wish that was true. But it is something that every superhero has gone through, from the likes of the canonical Hercules and Perseus to the modern day Iron Man and Wonder Woman. So, to facilitate this transformation, I would like to ask everyone in the audience to think about something you find frustrating about your daily life or society. It could be anything: a social issue, a cultural norm, a political phenomenon, or even a personal experience that has shaped your perception of the world around you. I'll give you a few seconds to think about this. A lot of things may have crossed your mind. Everything from why Starbucks is charging $1 extra for refreshers with less ice, to our current political system, to disgruntling relationships between the people around us. You may have even come up with something like the cultural differences present when you speak with your grandparents, or how your sibling only texts when they need something from you. And all of these experiences can possibly be classified into topics of grander scope, like the greed of corporate America, archaic family dynamics, or the individual struggle for recognition in a society where only winners create history, all issues that past superheroes have faced in their blockbuster quests. But there are some gray areas, even in our everyday lives. What happens when parts of the system feel rigid or impenetrable, or we feel stuck in our journey to self-actualization? What if Superman doesn't defeat the villain, or he doesn't get the girl, or his best friend dies in the fight? How does he move onward and stay true to his original identity and quest? And that leads me to the focus of my talk today: using introspection as a means to analyze our relationships within the world around us. As a tool in every superhero's arsenal, it is important to learn how to best utilize it to achieve our goals. To do this, we'll first define introspection and identify how written self-reflection in the form of journaling can be extremely beneficial to investigate the flaws in our own neighborhoods. Finally, we'll take a step back from the crime scene and learn how understanding ourselves better will ultimately form stronger, closer-knit relationships between the people around us. So, first of all, what is introspection? According to the Oxford Dictionary, introspection is defined as the examination of one's own mental and emotional state. It is a more deliberate form of self-reflection. And as we navigate the journey of life, we experience a plethora of emotions and circumstances, often resulting in sensory overload. Luckily, research has shown that the human brain is wired to constantly monitor and evaluate its surrounding environment. Studies have found that the brain spends a significant amount of time in a state of default mode, where it is not focused on any particular task, but rather is engaged in introspection, reflexivity, and other forms of spontaneous thought. During this time period, the brain's prefrontal, posterior, and lateral cortices consolidate information from past experiences, often resulting in creative insights, and sometimes even known as shower thoughts. And that form of self-reflection that occurs in our brains can be incredibly powerful. Written introspection, or journaling, is the most effective way for us to understand our thoughts. Transcribing our spontaneous reflections can help us understand the patterns underlying our emotions. By creating a safe space to freely write down all the highs and lows of our life journey, we can work towards becoming the best versions of ourselves. Journals can also be used to speak goals into existence, or even just be a safe space to vent, clearing our minds from distractions, and ultimately allowing us to secure the world we want for ourselves. Instead of wasting so much mental energy psychoanalyzing, we can choose to take a step back and reflect and make peace with the bad situation, or rejoice with the positive one, dramatically improving our mental health. I remember the first time I started writing a journal. I was in 6th grade, and I was getting ready to prepare for my black belt test. And in order to prepare for the transformation between an ordinary red black belt to an all-powerful and confident black belt, I was to prepare my mind and body for the ultimate transformation. And in order to keep up with this strict regimen, I had to document all my daily meals, workouts, and techniques for improvement. And frankly, the importance of such tedious, busy work was lost on me, especially as a 6th grader. However, the words of my instructor invoked a compelling curiosity in me that ultimately gave me the drive to see it through. I would want to remember how I was feeling the night before the big day and the deliberate steps and preparation that I took to achieve black belt excellence. And 5 years later, I do know exactly how I felt that night. The euphoria I felt after performing the fastest kicks and punches I could. The culmination of 6 well-documented months. The power of journaling allows me to relive my memories with unparalleled depth. It has given me the opportunity to look back on all my decisions, every split-second judgment call. It helped me analyze moments all throughout my life, moments that I was proud of, moments where I could have been a better person. It personified my life into that of a character, where each seemingly minuscule action takes on greater significance. The power of journaling is not only an individual concept, but can also be harnessed to create community. When we document our collective story and choose to share it with the world, journalism becomes a whole lot more humanistic. Instead of seeing history as a linear sequence of events, spreading the fruits of our journaling allows us to change the current socio-political landscape. History becomes our story, a culmination of life decisions, and not just a feeling of complacency and stagnation. An example of this is when Ta-Nehisi Coates published his novel Between the World and Me, originally addressed to his son. Sharing his wisdom on how to live as a Black man in America, Coates discusses how racism was embedded in the formation of America. America and its citizens are deluded for believing in the ideal of American exceptionalism, yet continue to dismiss instances of systemic racism to human error every single day. However, Coates, like many other Black individuals, know the truth of our country's foundation. His continuous questioning and introspection is his contribution to the social narrative of the Black community. By passing on the torch of fighting for equality to his son, Coates hopes to use the knowledge that was gained from his introspection to inspire non-Black people and political leaders to lead a coalition for interracial support for equality. The sharing of Coates' stories highlights the importance of voices of the subaltern within collective discourse. When we understand the stories of the people in our community better, we form solidarity with our experiences, solidarity with our shared struggles and victory. When 16-year-old Farah Baker posted this series of messages on Twitter, she broke the internet. Her vivid and tragic description of living during the daily bombings in Gaza showed millions the human experience behind world conflicts. Baker's story connected with a large audience because it connected ordinary individuals to each other. Behind the carefully edited sound bites, news stories, statistics, and political rhetoric were real people who were dying every day that the war continued. We forgot to listen to the stories of the people who were living through history. And yes, objective statistics are necessary in order to present a baseline argument, but journaling ultimately humanizes these individual narratives. In 2014, today, and forever, Baker's story reminds us to never lose sight of that human voice in journaling. Ultimately, the better we know ourselves, the better we can empathize with others. Intentional reflection has the power to lead us to personal insights and groundings with our humanity. And that step to a more connected society starts with us. And in all aspects of life, when we push for unbounded communication, we form a more humanistic narrative of life. And in this new decade, we've seen a transition from the oversaturated presentations of life to the advent of new social medias like B-Reels that showcase unfiltered realities, often far from perfection. And these novelties have resonated with an increasingly wider audience. Pushing forward a raw, introspective portrayal into the field of journalism may be exactly the change that our media system needs. Journalists must now do more work to tell the whole story. Now, how can we as ordinary individuals begin the step towards journaling? The awesome thing about journaling is that it is incredibly easy. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes out of your day and can take the form of anything, from physical journaling in a notebook, to the notes app on your phone, to blogging, or even creating a social media account, documenting your journey and the lessons learned. It can even be something auditory, like storing private voice memos on your phone, or creating a podcast, sharing your journey and your stories. Developing self-reflection as a daily practice leads to healthier habits when stress levels are high. So tonight, I encourage all of you in the audience to make the step towards better mental health. Sometime before you go to sleep tonight, I want you to write down your thoughts. Someday, you may even share your story. And you never know, someone around the world may be going through the exact same thing as you. And who knows, tonight may be the night in which you transform into the superhero we know the world needs. Thank you.